Hey everybody, this is Sheets, and I'm going to be going over Fonner Park, which it's their closing day today, and they've done a great job putting on a good show for everybody in a period where there's very little horse racing. And I've been enjoying handicapping their cards and going over them with you guys, and been pretty profitable with Fonner. So when they come back, I'm going to probably make this a track that I look at pretty regularly. So there you go. Again, good on you, Fonner, for putting on a good track and a good meet. And their social media presence is excellent. And for a small track in Nebraska, I really do root for them to continue their successes. So to celebrate that, I'm going to go over not only the Pick 5, which has a mandatory payout today, which is probably going to end up being $500,000 minimum. It's going to be spread out among everybody that hits it. So I don't want to lead you to believe that we're going to hit for $500,000, but who knows? There are also some really, really good bets along the way. So we're going to go over it and the last kind of review of Fonner Park. Hopefully they come back for another meet and we'll continue to do this. So again, for those of you who want to wager on horse racing, you could sign up with ExpressBet with the link in the description. They're the place that I've used for the longest period of time, and they're really, really strong. They'll give you a good bonus or whatever they have going on. But let's just get into it. The Pick 5 actually doesn't start until race 5. So it goes race 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But there's some good bets along the way. And again, the usual caveats. These are just odds as of now. They can change, and I just can't give you every variation of if this is X, you bet this. If this is Y, you bet this. I'm just going to hopefully guess who are going to be good values based on their morning lines. Okay. So in the first race, it's really, really not a good betting race. I would tell you, though, that I do believe that I would say that almost every horse in here is equal, with the exception of the 7. The 7 is a little bit worse. So you have to kind of just see if some odds kind of stand out. Like, for example, like if these odds were as they were right now, I would say that all of these long shots, 3, 4, and the 7, are incredibly great value. I mean, I honestly don't believe that the 3 or the 4 has any less of a chance to win this race than the 1. So if the 1, in fact, does go off 3-2, and the 3, 4 both go off at 17-1, I think those are incredibly strong. 7 is worse, okay? Is it, 30 times worse than the 1? No. I mean, I think that if you bet the 7, infinity times, you would do better than if you bet the 1 infinity times at these odds that as listed here, like 3-2 and 35-1. So first race, I would not key on this race, but if you did want to start off an early Pick 5, which is not the jackpot one, more an early Pick 3 or whatever else they got going on, or daily doubles, then you could do that. But I wouldn't key on this race. But again, just to throw it out there, because it's the last day of the meet, I would say the 3 and the 4 would be the ones I would key. All right. So the second race, I do think, again, that a lot of horses can win, but there's a really nice little key here, and that is going to be the 6 Radicator. I do think the Eradicator is actually slightly the most likely winner, actually, of all these guys. So if he goes off at 12-1 or anything close to it, I think it's an incredible price. So I would certainly key the Eradicator here, the 6, at long odds. I mean, anything over, I don't know, 5-1 even, I think would be very strong. The other horse that's kind of interesting to me is the 4, Super Surg. And if he goes off at this type of price, I might try him as well. And he is one of those horses, by the way, which you've heard me go over several times, that it's a very decent chance that it could not show up at all and run last. But I think there's also a small chance that he wins. This is going to be one of those horses I wouldn't really put on the bottom end of exactors or trifectas or a place or show or anything like that. I really think this horse either wins or just runs almost last. So a little caveat with that. Of course, if you bet it and then you just don't see it all and just runs like 0, I mean, it's definitely possible that could happen. But I think the 6, Radicator, good key, kind of started off the day. And there you go. The third race, I think that there's another horse here that could be a really, really good long shot. I think the 2 Bullseye Betty at 12-1 is a horse that I might key here as well. The other horses that have a chance are going to be short. That's going to be the 6 PR Why Not. Who are the other ones I had here? Actually, the 4, the 5, the 9, the 10, all these guys. I think the 10 would probably be my next favorite, Amy's Shadow. It's probably, maybe it's actually almost as good as the 2. I didn't realize that the 10 was carrying 5 pounds less than the 2, which gives it, probably an extra length towards his projection. So then again, having the 10 hole kind of usually takes a length or 2 off his projection, so her projection. So I would say still the 2 is a better key than the 10, but 2 and the 10 are both fine. 4, 5, 9 would be my next group. But again, I would key the 2 Bullseye Betty and then use the 10 Amy Shadow as my second horse. So right off the bat, like races 2 and 3, you have some pretty good long shots in here. So which is why, like as I said, even though I didn't really have a strong opinion on race 1, you could, go all, or if you were, even more, more frisky, you would just use some long shots from here and link these up with some of these long shots later, like Radicator, and then Bullseye Betty, and maybe even the 210 together. So you could get some big prices out of these first couple of races. I think. I mean, you could. I think they're good bets there, actually. All right, so race 4. I'm not making this stuff up. I mean, I really believe that this is a really good betting card. There are 3 horses here that are all extremely long. My 2 favorites in here, actually the 2 You're the Reason and the 5 Stalker. And one day I'll show you kind of how I analyze these things and how I come up with this stuff and how to read the sheets and all that. But I was comparing the 2 to the 1, for example, and I think the 2 is exactly the same winning chance as the 1. And if one of them is 12-1 and the other is 3-1, it's just kind of a no-brainer. And likewise, I compared the 5 to the 4. And the 5 is just as good of a chance to win as the 4. So I think all 4 of those horses are the main contenders, but the 2 and the 5, their odds are just so much stronger that they're just clear to just key those 2. And the third horse, which is a little bit worse, but at 15-1, you can use the 8, Miss Ellie's Girl. So right out of the gate, again, I like 3 long shots. I like You're the Reason, the 2, Stalker, the 5, and Miss Ellie's Girl, the 8. Now, those first 4 races, I mean, those are just, you could really just, you could be off to a tremendous start and make a few $1,000s with that if we get lucky. And we go to race 5, which is the beginning of that mandatory payout pick 5. Now, one day I'll go over theory about how to play actual jackpots, but as it's a mandatory payout, it's not actually a jackpot. In other words, I'm not just paying for the single ticket. So you're just basically doing your standard, who do I think has a chance to win these races? And we'll see how many horses we feel like spending on in each race. And, you do want a handicap. You are still going for value, but it's a little less important in a non-jackpot pick 5 or pick 6 or something like that. Well, let's just see. So race 5, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 horses I would start with. Now, the most likely winner, I believe, is the 9, Alex of Ice. But after that, you have the 1, 2, and 3 who are pretty close to him and pretty close to each other. So if you were betting this race and not just playing the pick 5, I would say that front office would be a really good way to get some value. But make no mistake, I think the 9 is the most likely winner. One thing I will say is that the 8, Creed's Revenge, I make him probably the 7th best horse in this race. if he goes off as like the favorite or close to it, I mean, that almost makes this race instant value right away. So that's one bit of, kind of behind the scenes look here, is that I really think that the 8, and I looked at this several times, just really has no chance. So, with that said, now it's probably going to win. But these are my opinions. I think the 9 is the most likely winner. 1, 2, 3 slightly behind, with the 1 probably the best value. So what I'm going to do probably in the pick 5 is go 1, 2, 3, and 9. And this 7 horse is one that I go back and forth on. At 15 to 1, if you have the bankroll for it, I would throw it in. Let's put it that way. And if I needed to save money, he might be my last one tossed. But I think that at 15 to 1 or higher, it's probably worth flicking into the pick 5. All right, so in the second leg, which is race 6, I think the 2 is clearly the most likely winner here. It's not even the favorite. It's listed at 7 to 2, and I think it's very, very strong and very solid. I think it's significantly better than the 5. And again, how you attack the pick 5 really depends on your risk tolerance. I would have no problem just singling the 2 here. But just to go over, I think the 5 is probably the next best. And then after that, you drop down to the 4 and the 9, who are okay, I suppose, but at those prices, they're just bad bets. And then the 7, 8. But I even think of those longer odds, 8 to 1, 10 to 1. I don't think those are good values. I really think that the 2 is kind of the key here, and it's not going to go up at 7 to 2. I mean, it's going to be 8 to 5 or something like that. So probably is not going to be a good betting race. So I would use the 2 on top in the pick 5s. Then again, depending on your risk tolerance, depending how many other horses you want to use, and we'll go over some tickets which will show you, how you can spend different kind of levels of money. So you could play 2-7, you could just play the 2, depending on how you want to attack it. We'll go over that when we're done with the race by race analysis. 7th race is one you really want to watch the odds here, because they did scratch the morning line favorite, and they scratched the 3rd choice morning line. So I don't want to get too excited about the possibility of these horses I'm going to go over being great long shots, because it's very possible they end up being chalky. But let me just go over it. I think that the clear most likely winner is actually the 8, Shimmering Dream. She is 12 to 1 morning line, basically the 3rd longest shot in the race, and I do think it's the most likely winner. So that is what it is. The second 2 are going to be the 5 and the 6, are Annabelle and Spellwinder. And then if you want the 4th best, in other words, a horse that has a shot at a long price, that's going to be La Indy the 7. So, I mean, and the 1, Say Goodnight Grace. But at that price, I'm not too into the 1. I think that the 8, again, if it goes off anything hopelessly resembling 12 to 1, I think it's ridiculous. But it won't. I mean, with those 2 morning line favorites scratched, probably go off like 4 to 1, something like that. We'll see. All right. And that's one of those where you have to just kind of see what the odds are. But I will say that I do think Shimmering Dream is the most likely winner, and then the 5 and the 6. So what I probably end up doing is using 5, 6, and 8 in the pick 5, and then maybe flicking in the 7, depending on how the rest of the ticket shapes up. All right, 8th race, I'll save you a little time. 8th race is just a total wheel. Anybody can win. Everybody's kind of fairly priced, and there's going to be no value here. I'm going to play all in the pick 5, and I'm not going to bet this race. And then you get into the last race. Now, if you have been watching these, and, God love you, if you've been watching all of my Fonner Park previews, I should honestly give out a T-shirt or something for anybody that's watched all of my Fonner Park previews, because I'm actually going to recommend a horse here that we've recommended before, and it's I can't believe that's actually coming to pass. I've been doing the Fonner Park things for several weeks now, such that I'm actually recommending the horse twice. It's running again. Let me just go over the horses I like, and then we're going to go over the recommendation. I think the 3, 4, 8, 9, actually 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 are the main contenders, followed by the 2 and the 9. But as far as values go, I don't know if you guys remember this, but Dan Buwright at 20 to 1 to finish off the freaking meet at a huge price. I'm in, man. I mean, we bet on this horse before, or I don't know if you guys did, but I did. And it was a really great price. I thought it was a tremendous bet. And you know what? It was terrible. But lest that not deter us, we're going to try again. And so we're going to key the 3 on top. And my next 2 favorites are going to be the 4-5, Dreaming Diamonds and Pretty Rich. And in the pick 5, I'll go either something like 3-4-5, or in some tickets 3-4-5-6-8, in some tickets 3-4-5-6-8-2-9, and in some tickets maybe just single the 3. Like if I want to get some of those lesser likely horses in earlier legs, I might then key the 3 in something like this. So so that's like the race by race analysis, and you can see there's some really good bets today. So let's go ahead. You want to try to we'll try to compose a ticket here. So let's go back to this 5th race. We'll do pick 5. And let's recall what we liked. So we liked Alex of Ice and Front Office, right? So Alex of Ice we thought was the most likely winner. And then we thought the 1, 2, 3 were second on the list, with the 2 and the 1 the best value. So for now, what we're going to do is kind of build out like a best of each leg ticket, see what that costs. So it's important to know what you're doing here. Like you're using the 1 and the 9, and you're giving up the 2 and the 3. So if you want to come back and get the 2 and the 3 later, you got to remember that. Second leg, again, we like the 2 as a key. So let's go ahead and key the 2 for now. And again, you know what we're giving up here. You're giving up the 5, which is, I'm not too worried about that. You're giving up some of these longer 4-9s, but again, as we went over, those values are not so tremendous. So not too worried about coming back to grab those, but let's see. The third leg was a little tricky, because on the one hand, you wanted to key the 8, right? Definitely most likely winner, but we didn't quite know what these odds were going to be. So for now, let's have some fun. Let's just single the 8 for now, just to show you how cheaply you can get off of a ticket like this. Leg 4 was all, right? We said we were going to go all. And then in the 5th leg, what did we say? We said we were either going to key the 3, Danby right, or go through those 5. Let's just key them for now, right? So like, for example, if you wanted to just really just send it in, just a real lottery ticket, you could play all the horses that we like here for $8. And the good thing about it is that if all these guys do come in, like Danby Right, Shimmering Dream, and God forbid Front Office, I mean, you could really cash for 6 figures for real. You know what I mean? If all those long shots come in, especially if in this wheel race, this 4th leg, you get one of these, hoodoos. You know what I mean? Like these long shots. So that's one way you could go. You could just go bam and just save one for $8 and put that in. Okay. Now again, there could be scratches and all that stuff. But let's say you didn't want to do that. Let's say you want to do something different. This is very similar to what I did here. Right? I was trying to save something else, and yeah. So let's just say you want to do something different. Let's say you wanted to add some. So you'd have to kind of prioritize, like where you think you wanted to, you were weakest. So if you want to know my opinion, I do think that this Danby Right is probably the weakest. So this would be the first one I would add. So I would throw in the 4-5 first, okay? And then the next thing I would do is, I do think that the next place where I think we'd be weak is leg 1, because I did think the 1 was better value than the 2 and 3, but not necessarily that much better, if at all. So that would be the next kind of level of wager I would do. You know what I mean? Like, you could play for $48, for example, and you can get pretty much everyone you want in here, in leg 1, pretty much everyone you want in leg 5 and 6. And you're taking your stand on these 2 singles, on this 2 Judge on the Run and this 8 Shimmering Dream, right? So you go ahead and save that if you want. Okay? So again, and you could continue to do this. Like if you really wanted to spread more, let's just see what these cost. So let's say that you wanted to then, after Shimmering Dream, what else do we say we like? 5, 6. So if you wanted to add the 5 and the 6, now you're talking about a $144 ticket, right? And then let's say, again, like to really just take it to the extreme, let's say you wanted to add these other dudes here. Say you wanted to throw in a chamber doors as well. Now you're doubling it for 288. Then if you want to go for these other guys, then you're at 720. Now the good thing is that you probably have a pretty good chance to win if you want to spend this much. But your ROI is going down. Your value is going down because these horses aren't really good values here. But again, we're not talking about these values. You're talking about like kind of a string of horses. So the value of, say, I don't know, was this who I wanted, by the way, in the second leg? 4, 2, and then 5, and then 4, 9. Oh, these were all the guys. Sorry about that. So if you do get these guys home, was it the 6? I'm really sorry. I don't want to. No, it was not the 6. It was 2, 5, 4, 9, 7, 8. Right. If you get, and this is the tough part about gambling. Like if you get Shimmering Dream home at 20-1, and let's say you get Dan Burite home at 20-1, are you gonna want to lose because you didn't play kind of a semi-fishy value here in leg 2? So what you could do, for example, is instead of doing this, you could say, all right, I don't want to lose if Dan Burite wins, so I'm going to spread all these other legs and not take stands and put basically $288 to win on the 3, right? You're a little weak here, but not that bad, and that is certainly one way to play, okay? So one of the reasons why, again, I'm not too worried about giving out picks per se, even though I'm betting them, is it's not so easy just to say, okay, here are the horses you like. You have to figure out the best way to hook these up and combine them, and it takes a long time. But for now, I think that this is enough where at least put you in a positive EV spot, especially at a track like Fonner, which doesn't usually get that many sophisticated handicappers. So we'll see. So for those of you out there, I do hope that if I continue to do the horse racing stuff, that you'll watch, and it's a chicken and the egg thing. If you guys watch, I'll do it. If you guys want, I'll do it. If you guys don't want, again, I'll keep the information for myself. That's fine too. I guess that's it. I might end up streaming this when I'm actually wagering via Twitch, but I'm just not comfortable with the way my Twitch is set up right now. But I guess that's all I have. Good luck, and good luck, Fonner, and LFG.